And it's like, everything I would recommend you is out of print for, like, a major character. And that's insane. To the point where basically I tell the guy, I would not tell you to buy any of this based on what we have right now. I would not have you start with, like, volume 4. Don't do that to yourself. It's not going to make a ton of sense.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Every time I'm about to start recording, I open the little drawer that is connected to the table in which the microphone rests upon for this recording.
Uh-huh.
And I'm reminded of Christmas time last year when I bought the tiny Marvel dime capsule mini books that we have the much larger hardcover replicas of in a full set for like $30.
Something like that.
And I bought this little Captain America comic book, which is about the size of the top half of my thumb, for $50.
Oof.
And then, what's original though?
It is, it's true. It's very old.
And then, upon opening it to read it, promptly tore the cover off.
Yep.
So it's sealed in this little bag forever, and it lives in this drawer.
Yep.
And I got George's Spider-Man one, but that one came sealed in like one of those coin holders.
Okay.
Like the kind that's a cardboard square, but the middle is cut out, but it's like vacuum sealed in plastic.
Yeah.
That's how his came.
Okay.
But mine, I'm like, no, I paid $50. I'm going to read this.
I don't want slab comics.
Who would have thought that a binding, a tiny glue binding that is like 1.5 inches by 1/8 of an inch,
That's 60 years old.
that was made in the early 60s, wouldn't have held? Who would have thought?
Not
So as
me,
of right
for
now,
sure.
it looks perfect. And it lives in this drawer because I was so disgusted that I just threw it in there.
Happy Christmas.
And I see it every week. And that, to me, is Christmas.
There it is.
And this is the Christmas episode of Contest of Challengers,
Oh, gosh, I
a
guess it
Christmas
is.
industry Christmas podcast all about
On the
the
Christmas Channel
business
Podcast Network.
of Christmas. Because next week, while we will record before Christmas, and the patron episode should go up on Christmas, the
Wow.
main episode doesn't post until after Christmas.
Sure.
So this is the Christmas episode, and that means somewhere in here will be the traditional Night Before Christmas as read by Stan Lee,
Sure.
and also a new Christmas song from the Divorce Gun, which I can play the entirety of because I own the rights to it.
Cool. That's about 8 minutes less that we have to do this episode then.
Close. Real close. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think those are bonus Christmas gifts for people?
Nope. 8 minutes less work.
You think that we should,
That's
of
the
course,
gift I'm giving to us.
bury it in the middle so they can't just skip it at the end?
Sure.
I honestly have no idea where either of those is going to go. They may just be at the end. I don't know. I don't know because that's the miracle and surprise of Christmas.
That's true.
A customer was in, and a club member, and there was nothing in his box. And he said, I thought there'd be nothing there. And I said, well, maybe that was the Christmas miracle. And he said, wait, so Christmas miracles can work both ways? Like, it's a miracle you get nothing. I'm like, no, the miracle would be you have something. Don't be so pessimistic.
Yeah, true.
I meant like a positive way. And you thought, surprise, you get nothing.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Santa moves in mysterious ways.
Or Krampus. Or whomever. Well, it's the point of the year where people come in looking for lots of gifts.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, we've had some positive developments as far as things coming in. I think a few weeks to a few months out, we were very scared, like a lot of brick and mortar establishments were, about having things for people to buy for Christmas. A lot of the normal steps a store would take to stock up, or that publishers or vendors would take to push out new products in time for the holidays, basically up in the air because of COVID and supply chain problems that have been going on for a while and will be going on for a while.
Wait, can you explain this to me?
Sure. When a vaccine loves unvaccinated people very much, sometimes you don't get books for a while. Anyway, one of the things...
Oh, abstinence. Got it.
Uh-huh. One of the things that's been kind of nice is seeing kind of back orders and stuff start to roll in more or less just when we need them. We got an order in from, I think, Simon & Schuster that included a bunch of Chainsaw Man Volume 1s, and we were like, oh, thank you. Because we're getting a lot of... for people who are coming in looking to get a gift and they don't have a list, they don't know exactly what the person wants, it's very like, we had someone come in and it was somebody who had a 12-year-old and the 12-year-old likes manga. And it's like, what manga can you recommend? And it's like, recommendations are always going to be like Volume 1. And Volume 1s for manga are really hard to get. So we're very limited in what we can recommend based on what we have in stock. So it's cool to have some of that early stuff like Chainsaw Man Volume 1, and then for superhero stuff like Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer Volume 1 show up over the last week. We're getting more copies of like Immortal Hulk Volume 1 from different vendors. Sometimes they're damaged.
More copies of Immortal Hulk Volume 1, and even more.
Sometimes they're damaged, but we had it on back order from different places, and they're all sort of rolling in. So it's cool to have that sort of stuff. It's not necessarily everything we want. There's definitely gaps in our offerings that we're disappointed by, and things that we, because we just sold a bunch of them over the last couple days, it takes longer to get stuff in from Simon & Schuster and Penguin Random House. So if we're placing orders for things like Wonder Woman Dead Earth on the 15th, probably not going to get them in before Christmas. They're just probably not going to show up by then. Maybe, hopefully, but we can't guarantee it. But it has been a pleasant surprise, the stuff that we've been able to get in, or things that, like, we just got a case of the Captain Carter What If action figures in. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. Like, I'm sure people will want those. That's a popular character that people are going to have an interest in. And it's kind of that sweet spot for, I got to get a gift for someone. I don't know what they have. I don't want to spend a ton of money. Hey, this figure's, less than $30. Let me grab that.
Just today, we received a bunch of Benny the Bull pop vinyls, the Chicago Bulls mascot.
There you go.
And it turns out that he came out...
One of the few members of the Chicago Bulls that does not have COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Who it turns out that it was released a while ago, and everybody's out of it.
Oh, great.
Except for us.
Yay!
So we'll have it, I'm sure, briefly.
Yeah. So stuff like that has worked out in our favor.
What doesn't work out in our favor is that much earlier this year, we ordered a whole bunch of the 8-figure set Marvel Christmas cookie pop vinyls.
Oh, yeah.
And today we got 2 of them. And in large quantities. We ordered a lot of these.
Well, again, the expectation was we would have them in like November, and we'd have a lot of the earlier part of the holiday season to sell them to people who are decorating their homes.
Yeah.
They don't mean a lot when you get them in on December 16th.
I will say...
A little late in the season.
they kind of look great, and they're better than I thought they were going to be, but we have Thor and Iron Man.
Yeah.
And Thor's hammer is made of, like, candy.
Cool.
As are it's classic Thor. Mm-hmm. So, like, the 4 discs on his tunic are also, like, clear and see-through, like, gem, rock candy.
I definitely think a box of all of these candy Marvel figures are going to end up in storage for a year. Because we're not going to have the space to put out, like, 8 of each figure for, February.
Yeah, that's the thing. We got in 4 different pop vinyls today, and that was a total of like 40 pop vinyls.
Yep.
The Marvel Artist series that are basically the Avengers, but each one is a clear pop vinyl, but in the color of an Infinity Gem.
Oh, sure, yeah.
We got the Hawkeye in today. Mm-hmm. They all come in those hard plastic pop cases.
Oh, do they really?
But it's the artist. They're also like $25.
Sure.
But like, what I have the CM Punk figure in.
Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah.
Like the hard
plastic, like,
yeah.
I don't want to say clamshell, but it's those sort of
top and bottom pieces, and so that was kind of neat. Molly Jane was, of course, not happy with the color choices.
Oh my God.
What can you do?
No pleasing that woman.
One of the great things about having Molly Jane is that when somebody comes in and it's someone who doesn't know how to articulate there's 2 separate examples.
Okay.
The guy comes in, he's like, yeah, I'm looking for the new Batman. I'm like, you mean the latest issue? He's like, no, the book, like the next Batman. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, we've got that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the story, like, it's I Am Batman now, but it was It was collected.
Right.
So we have the hard, like the future state stuff, and then we have the I Am Batman, some I Am Batman issues as well. He's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, what? He's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, well, you said the next Batman. And he's like, it was the one you had a couple issues with the really good art. I'm like, oh, right, the Batman story with the really good art.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Molly Jane overhears it and says, oh, you mean Batman Imposter number 3? And he's like, yes, that's it.
I would have never gotten there.
She got it.
Golly.
And then another guy came in who was also, it's like, yeah, I haven't read comics in a long time, but I like Batman. Like, if I want to start Batman, where should I start? Like,
Crime Alley. No.
Great news. The latest issue, number 118, is a whole new writer, a whole new artist, a whole new storyline. You can just pick it up and go from there. But, like, you have the couple before that? I'm like, well, we do, but they're the end of, like, a 2-year-long story, and it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. Like, if you said you wanted to jump right in right here. He's like, and then Molly Jane's, let me show you what we have. Takes him to the Batman graphic novels, gives him the rundown from New 52 through Rebirth, and the guy winds up, after all that, he starts with the Tom King run.
Okay. I think that's great.
Yeah, and I was just looking to sell him a single issue of the new series.
A $4 comic book.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's what I thought he wanted. But also, I'm not willing to put in that kind of effort. And she is definitely, like, she's always walking people to the rack and showing stuff. And
that's super necessary.
I thought, I used to do that. And I still do it, but I don't do it every single time.
Right.
And
you also resent it a little bit more.
Well,
when you're giving clear directions and someone's not finding it, you kind of dig your heels in. You're like, I'm not going to go over there and show you. You're an adult. I'm telling you where it is, and you're not finding it.
Someone brings up today a Department of Truth pin and goes, "What's this from?" I'm like, the Department of Truth. Right, but what is it? What is that pin you're holding, or what is the Department of Truth? Like, is it a comic book? Yes, from a comic book. Which comic book? The Department of Truth. Would you like to see it? Let me show you the first volume. But it's me being a dick and them not understanding.
Sure.
And also not really communicating what they're asking.
Sure.
A lot of calls, and if we buy stuff today.
Yeah, wow.
Including trading cards. Somebody called asking for decks of playing cards. Huh. And I thought, can't you just get those anywhere?
I mean, I guess they want specific, like, comic character themed playing cards, which it's not the weirdest request we had this week.
Sure.
Padlocks, I think, was the one that I was the most...
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, she did say, hey, this is a long shot.
She did preface it with it, knowing it was a weird request. So, yeah.
And she wasn't that far off. She could have gone around the corner on Milwaukee and gone to a bike shop.
But honestly, for me, it's one of those, like, there's no such thing as a bad question. It's like, no, this is a dumb question. That didn't need to be asked. You didn't need to come in to a comic shop and just check to make sure they didn't carry padlocks.
There was two people came in looking for One Piece, and I can't remember how they mispronounced Naruto, but it took me 2 tries to get, Naruto. So I'm like, well, we do have the newest One Piece, but we may not have any Naruto. There's a new series named Boruto. Molly Jane jumps in, takes them to the posters, and they buy a poster.
Well, that's awesome.
She's like, the posters are great because we don't have the anime, or the manga.
That's true.
She also resented when people tell people who are looking for gifts, I want this anime from the comic shop. She's like, I don't care. Like, I don't mind it when the people buying the gifts don't know the difference.
Right.
But the people who are asking for it should know.
Yeah, they should.
So it's that time of year. A lot of hands-on, a lot of walking people around, a lot of help. And it's frustrating when UPS comes in with a mountain of boxes.
For sure.
And I went to Southern Hobby this morning for a supply run, and I jokingly chided you for not going with me. You couldn't have fit.
Oh, really? That bad, huh?
Well, I mean, the supplies I ordered...
This is the first time with the new car, I think.
Right, but I mean, I ordered exactly what I thought the car could fit.
Right.
I didn't realize all the things they had for us were going to be packed in so many extra boxes.
Oh, I see.
And also, over the span of a couple of days, when they're like, oh yeah, we have this pop vinyl, that grows.
Sure.
And then when you have, like 40-some-odd pop vinyls, they take up space.
Yeah.
And then there was some Pokemon stuff, and it's all just bulkier boxes.
Of course.
So those are all in the front seat.
Okay.
And the back seat was... Like, we probably could have made it work. It would have been taking things out of boxes, because there was room in the trunk for loose things, but not a loose box, you know? Like,
sure.
there was... I'm using my hands to show spatial relation of how much you could have fit between the boards and the trunk latch.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have made it work, but it was just easier to throw everything in the front.
I see.
So it's taking all that to storage and emptying all that, and I brought everything else back, brought a few things back for storage, and then there's things I should have brought but I didn't. And then, like, oh, here's a massive UPS order.
Right.
And then stuff just keeps coming in throughout the day. And at the start of the day, the recycling was overflowing, and also so was the sewage line.
Ugh.
By the end of the day, the recycling was empty, but the sewage line was still full.
Gross.
So it's just like, oh my God, I spend so much time cutting up boxes, and I complain about it every week, and it's not getting any less.
No.
It's getting worse.
No. And on top of that, you're not even doing all the boxes.
No, but I did a whole lot this week.
You did. I'm just saying, there are even more boxes
Oh, I know.
that you're
Oh,
not
I know.
cutting up.
And just the sheer amount of bubble wrap per box.
That's the most boring part of cutting up the boxes, is cutting up the bottom.
But also, they put in
so
as much
boring.
bubble wrap as can fit a box, because it's only going to be like, oh, we're protecting 2 books in here. So much. And I want the books protected.
Of course.
I just feel like smaller boxes or something.
Well, smaller boxes was what led to all the books being damaged in the first place.
But I'm talking about graphic novel shipments and things like that.
Okay.
The boxes we got today that are filled with bubble wrap are just supporting graphic novels.
Okay.
If you're putting in 4 times as much bubble wrap as you are books, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, probably a smaller box.
And I keep meaning to post on different neighborhood message boards saying, if you need boxes or bubble wrap, please come get them. But then we have to store them. And as I've said numerous times, we get deliveries every single day.
Yeah.
There's stuff coming in tomorrow I know about already.
Well,
And I'm not even talking about the copious amount of action figures and, I guess now, clothes you order to the store regularly.
It's true.
Daily.
Daily. The problem with saving the boxes...
6 cases of Huel today.
The problem with saving the boxes is that you look at like a Monday where we have all of the PRH Marvel books showing up, and the amount of space they take up in the hallway is like, I have to cut
Yeah, that's
these
what
down.
I just said. We have to store them somewhere.
Not even the storing part. Like, there's literally not enough room in the back for the boxes that just showed up. So it's not even a thing of like, well, we can just hold on to these for a day or so. Like, even if I was willing to do that, I couldn't fit them all in the back hallway anyway.
Yeah.
There's too many boxes. Too much stuff.
And it's all because we're now getting books from, 8 different distributors instead of 1.
Well, we're getting stuff from Hachette a lot less. So there's that.
Really? They explained the 6
Those are
Hachette
all
charges
back
we
orders.
just got.
Those are all back orders. We did not place a new Hachette order this week. We barely placed one last week, I think, and I don't know if we're going to place one next week.
Well, that's too bad, because they now have a damage reporting function on their website.
They do, which we need to use a lot.
Yeah, only it's difficult.
Okay.
So you go to the damage thing.
Uh-huh.
You're like, okay, here's my invoice number. I pull up that invoice. Which, by the way, there were multiple instances of pulling up the invoice through Comic Suite to check it in, where it didn't have books listed that came in the order.
Okay.
But if you go to Hachette's website and pull up the invoice, all the books are there.
Sure.
So that's fun.
I mean, Immortal Hulk for sure was one where we had, there was a data problem with RMH where we needed to delete it and reinstall it, and doing that wipes out all the purchase order stuff for it.
Okay. And then there was a manga, something about Wherever I See Your Eyes or something. It only listed 1, but we got 2. But on the website it was 2.
Okay.
But anyway, so you go to the website and you plug in your purchase order or your invoice number, and it pulls it up, and you're like, great, I need to make a claim for this. So you need to click on, like, hey, is this the one? Sure. You click on this button here. Well, then it opens up every shipment that was that order. Because as you know, they don't, excuse me, you don't place an order, they put it all in one box and it goes out.
Right.
It's multiple boxes.
Right.
Each box is a separate thing. Only it just shows you, here's all the boxes that it was. So you're like, I don't know, I guess this one. But you have to start the claim process before it shows you what was in that box.
Okay. That's not great.
And then once you see what's in the box, then there's other steps. So, I mean, it's doable, but it's a lot of, great, this order had 5 or 6 boxes.
Right.
I have to keep clicking to find it.
Sure.
For the Hulk one, it was the first one I picked.
Okay.
But for the manga one, it was like 3 down.
Okay.
And then it's fine. It's just drop-down menus, and they don't ask for proof. Molly Jane's like, I took photos of the boxes because one of the boxes was completely, the corner was wide open.
Sure.
And that's the box with the most damages.
Yep.
And that's not, of course, counting the standard Challengers rule of, that's good enough.
Yep.
Not reporting all of these as damaged.
Nope.
There was a Dune that had a dented corner, but you can't see it with the dust jacket.
Okay.
And it wasn't terrible.
That's good.
It's fine. All I can think of every time an order like that comes in is, that's fine for the book market.
Mm-hmm.
Good enough for the book market.
They don't care.
No. But yeah, the thing I hate most about these deliveries is they come randomly.
Yeah.
You can't space your day.
No.
You can't be like, all right, I'm working on this project, because then suddenly everything stops. Here's 15 boxes that just showed up.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad, but I think I hate more when it's days you know something's coming, but you don't know when.
Yeah.
Like, having a Thursday where it's like, we could get deliveries and I don't know when they're going to show up is troubling. But when it's like a Monday or a Tuesday and you're like, I know I have a stack of boxes coming on, but I can't, it could be in 5 minutes, it could be in 5 hours. I don't know. What do? Do I start a project knowing that in 5 minutes, UPS could dump 9 boxes on me?
Well, it's you start the project to ensure that it comes right away.
That does help.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's not really different the way you did. Like, you're breaking down into 2 separate things, but I don't think it's different because things come every single day. You know they're coming.
I guess it's just...
the difference is weekly product versus restock is what you're saying.
Not even that, but like even the restock stuff, like if it's stuff... checking in an order, regardless of what it is, takes an amount of time. I would rather get the order checked in and the product put out quickly instead of, like, when an order shows up, I have to deal with it right away. It's not the sort of thing where I can be like, okay, well, I'm just going to set this aside for a couple hours while I do something else.
Unless it's lunchtime.
If it's lunchtime, it sets aside for 30 minutes. But even then, a lot of times, I'll open the order, I'll get everything stacked up, and then I'll eat. So at least if someone comes in,
it's that much sweeter.
I can be like, hey, we did have this book for you, or, oh, you were asking about this book, well, it's in this pile, let me give it to you. I don't have the ability to have an order show up and then just like, well, we'll just throw it in the back for a few hours while we, process back issues or whatever. Like, that's not going to happen.
The postal delivery person came today and had 2 of the vacuum-sealed packages from Simon & Schuster for a total of 3 books inside them.
Okay.
And then when UPS showed up, there was another one from Simon & Schuster and another one from PRH.
Great.
It's like, and again, it's so wasteful. You're sending out 1 book.
Yeah.
Just save it and send it with the next order.
Yeah. I mean, that was the Simon & Schuster order we got, and I think Wednesday it was 3 similarly sized boxes. Each of them had, like...
Yeah, I thought they were the shelves that I ordered because they were the exact same box. They
Yeah.
looked like shoe boxes.
Each of them had, like, a half dozen books in it, manga and graphic novels. But the crazy thing about it was each of the 3 boxes were from 2 different purchase orders. Like, there was stuff from purchase order 6250 in all 3 boxes, and also stuff from purchase order 6543 in all 3 boxes. Like, why weren't all the purchase orders put together? Why wasn't 6250 all in 1 box? It made no sense. It made checking it in take twice as long as it should have.
Remember that tour we took of the brand new Diamond Plattsburgh warehouses where they explained everything?
Uh-huh.
You just look at the way things are packed now, you think, how is this happening?
Yeah, it's so backwards.
How is this so badly done and so...
It's super inefficient. Yeah, it's... Each week it seems like there's a new thing with PRH or Simon & Schuster or Hachette where you're like, how are you a functioning distribution company?
An adult made the decision to do this as the best way they should do something.
Yeah, very strange.
I don't get it. I felt bad for the UPS guy, but he did have this sweet hand truck, brand new, like tungsten carbide,
Cool.
some sort of alloy with foldable, like the bottom folded, and things were on levers and springs.
Very cool.
I'm like, man, I want to play with that. And like everything, he took everything off, and it was a different UPS guy.
Sure.
So I think that's why he had the
We'll
fun
see
thing.
a bunch of different ones
Man.
over the next week.
Man. Oh, by the way, the gift cards are in the front of the first club box.
I saw 'em.
Okay. Because I brought them in and I didn't tell
I
you.
feel like I should get more. I don't know if
Yeah,
I did enough.
I think the same.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
I think the same. But I think we should do like
Like a different restaurant?
yeah, like Dunkin' this time.
Okay.
I think that the safest ones are always McDonald's, Dunkin', Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks I usually shy away from because I know I wouldn't use it.
Right.
So I gotta assume there are people who won't use it. But like McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts, like, yeah, there's something you'll get there. Even if you don't go there a ton, you'll use the gift card at some point.
Yeah. It's even sending out Christmas cards this year, which, by the way, thank you, Joseph Coco and Becca Hilburn. Your card came today. It was a beautifully done card. Thank you for that. I mentioned that because Joseph is a patron who took me up on the Christmas card offer.
Neat.
And reciprocated.
Very cool.
Also, Brent helped it.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's why I'm singling out their card.
Okay.
And it came from their studio. So I'm like, who's this card from? It's from New Orleans?
Okay.
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 So, yeah. But even with sending out Christmas cards, I didn't send any to the publishers because I don't think people are working in the office.
Yeah, I would not bet on it.
Yeah, and I didn't want to waste it.
Sure.
I got a handful back from either wrong addresses or right addresses where they just came back anyway.
Sure.
Eliza Fry, hers came back with the exact correct address on it. So, I don't know, but whatever. But yeah,
Wow.
I wonder if that came through because I turned my sound on my phone earlier.
Wow.
I wonder if that got picked up on the microphone or if that stopped recording or not.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll have to check. 27 minutes in. Let's take a look. See if that phone call rang. If it didn't, we're talking about nothing. Like last episode, I started with the microphone in a glass as I was pouring something in. Mm-hmm. Couldn't hear the pour at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
I know. This thing picks up cop cars like across the city, but it didn't when I was literally putting it in the glass. Mm-hmm. Put it on the glass! Like those.
There's the cop cars.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I deleted the first part of that because we're talking about a thing that people couldn't hear.
Sure.
But yeah, I didn't send it because there's a lot of publishers to send to. Mm-hmm. Christmas cards are a weird thing because we always go all out and we talk about it. But one of the things that makes me not like doing it is people don't acknowledge it. And it's like I wouldn't want the obligation either. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to say, oh, yes, thank you, cousin or whomever, I got your card.
Yeah.
But I don't say that because I sent them a card as well.
Sure.
But it's the people that I can't think of a way to say it without sounding like a complete jerk.
Don't appreciate it.
Well, I mean,
is what you're trying not to
don't
say.
acknowledge they appreciate it.
Right.
Like if
You want them to vocalize it. You want them to say
or send a card. Like if they send a card back, great.
Yeah.
And then I don't say,
want there
hey,
to
I
be
got
some-
your card because I sent them a card.
Yeah, you want there to be some reciprocity in the process.
Because half the time it
Either
makes me
acknowledging
think
it or
they
sending you
didn't
one.
get it. And
Sure.
I know the cards took longer to get them this year. And several people have put them up online, which is great, which is how I know that they got them.
Sure.
And admittedly, in years past, we've just been like, oh, it's a postcard.
Right.
Big deal.
Yeah, we got postcards from people this year.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if people, like I said, I don't necessarily acknowledge cards I get from people if I've already given them a card. I feel like it's
Like, that's the awareness.
it's implicit.
Like, we know that we send each other cards, so there's cards.
Fine. But anyway, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I'm just trying to make them say, hey, I did it. I sent the Christmas song to like 300 people via email. And I've gotten a good, 20 replies.
Nice. Conversely, I don't care about anything Christmas.
Oh, I know.
I don't care about Christmas cards
Yeah,
or
no, I know.
songs or anything. But
I know. That's why I didn't send you a card
you had,
send you the song.
I think, sometime over this past week, making conversation, and asked me if I had any, childhood, Christmas traditions or things that, we did as a family.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we didn't,
I believe your answer was, no.
I think my answer was along the lines of, I was the only child to a working single parent. So,
Who worked on Christmas?
no, but, the holiday season was...
You said she worked on Christmas. You said my mom worked.
Oh.
So I took that to mean she worked every Christmas.
Oh, no, I just meant, the holiday season she worked. So
Well,
it was
everybody
like,
works in the holiday season, silly.
well, not everybody. I mean, some people have families where like
Santa works.
there's a working parent and a stay-at-home parent, and I had the one parent, so she was both the working parent and, when necessary, the at-home parent. And that just meant that...
I think when necessary means all the time until you're grown.
I mean, if you're a working parent, the when necessary becomes kind of flexible.
Wait, was that my role?
Probably, yeah.
Substitute at-home parent, but at work?
For a portion of it, probably. But yeah, we didn't
Explains so
have really
much.
explicit, like, Christmas traditions, stuff where it's like, oh, every year we did this or that. It was like, there were gifts on Christmas, and there was a tree and there were decorations, but that was kind of it. So I didn't place a lot of value in things like Christmas cards and, all of that sort of the larger Christmas month element.
Yeah,
of it.
I mean, I fully acknowledge that the majority of the things I do were things that my family did when I was younger, and that was just instilled in me. My brother and sisters also send out cards. Mm-hmm. Not many people do. Not many people ever did. So it's not as if it's something that has fallen by the wayside as times change. It's just something that people didn't grow up with.
Right.
So, I mean, traditions are traditions because you've always done them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's no right or wrong answer.
No, I mean, I don't feel bad about my feelings about Christmas. They're just my feelings about Christmas.
You don't have feelings about Christmas. You should feel bad about that.
I have certain things that I do now for Christmas. Obviously, you buy gifts and whatever, but yeah, I like the day of Christmas because I don't have anything I need to do besides talk to some family members on the phone. That's about it.
Yeah, one of the things about Christmas this year, which is a benefit to me, is it's on a day that I would normally be working. Mm-hmm. So I'm not losing a day off, as it were.
Right.
I mean, it's still... Every Sunday, I go to my father's and clean his apartment and do errands for him. And my sister had joked last week that it's a part-time job. We all have this part-time job
Sure.
that's to help Dad. And, I mean, it's definitely obligation.
Of course.
Of course, I'm happy to do it. But it's a thing that I've been doing every Sunday for a very long time.
Yep.
And it makes me value my other day off a week more, but it makes me be lazier on that day.
Sure.
Because I worked 5 days at the store. I work every night at home for the store, basically. And then I do get my first day off. It's given to someone else.
Right.
So I'm a lot more selfish on my day off. And then it's, I have to do laundry. I have to do these errands.
Sure.
It's like, do I have to? I can put them off till next week, where then I argue with myself about not doing them.
Right.
And so Christmas is like, oh my God, Christmas is a Saturday. I work Saturdays. I get that off. And then Sunday is back to part-time job at Dad's.
Sure.
And then I'll have that Monday off. So it's really like, hey, I get 3 days off in a row, which I haven't had in a while.
Right.
As opposed to every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a misnomer because it's not like you're not working.
No, it's true.
But it will not feel like 3 days off in a row.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, Christmas is on a day I already have off. So
Right. And that's...
My weekend is exactly the same. It's just, the one kind of positive thing would be like, oh, well, I mean, it's Saturday, so the store's closed, so there's nothing I'll need to do necessarily, except, A, there's stuff I do on Saturdays I'll probably still have to do, like transfer over the Shopify stuff.
Sure.
But B, that Monday, we're doing the switch over for our POS. So
yes,
I can
you are doing that.
Guarantee you there's going to be things that Saturday where it's like, oh, I need to make sure this is taken care of with RMH, or we've gotten this off of the system, or we've backed up these things, or whatever.
That's what I'm looking forward to, because I will be off for 3 days, and when I come back, whole new POS system, whole new counter setup.
Yeah.
Like, everything will have changed, and I won't have had to do it.
No, it's true. I'm sure you'll want to change things, though.
I mean, for since we did the carpet back in whatever month, I can't even remember when that was.
Yeah.
We haven't really rearranged any cords or cables or anything because they're all going away.
Yeah.
To be replaced by new ones.
Even at that time, we knew that we were on a timeline where it would end with Managed Comics. And
so I'll definitely want to take care of the cords. Like, the cords in Blue were very well managed, and that was because Alexis did it for me the day she came to help set up Blue.
Sure. Well,
and then
we're going to be taking a hard look at a lot of the equipment that's on the counters.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're moving from a register setup that's a monitor that needs to be plugged in, and a receipt printer that needs to be plugged in, and a computer that needs to be plugged in to
and a scanner.
But the scanner plugs into the.
Plugs in.
Well, there's other peripherals that plug into the things I already mentioned, but I'm talking about stuff specifically going to like an electrical outlet.
Yeah.
We're going from that to an iPad and a receipt printer, and I don't know if the register needs to be plugged in or the cash drawer. I don't think it does, but we haven't opened it yet, so I'm not sure. But like the receipt printer needs to get plugged into an electrical outlet, but the iPad, kind of going to charge that overnight, so that might not necessarily need it. The Square terminal is going to need it.
We still have to figure out how to charge that overnight.
So we're eliminating a bunch of extra cords and stuff, and we'll kind of keep doing that. We're going to look at a bunch of different things that are plugged in, and we'll decide what we need to keep and what can be moved or condensed. So yeah, that's going to not be a day one December 27th thing, but it's going to be a thing we work on that week.
Sure. I kept telling Molly Jane that once this switchover happens, not only will we all be at the same level, of course you'll know more about the setup.
I will.
But she'll probably take to it faster than I will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want. I'm like, no. I'm like, you'll care more.
Yeah, well, that's for one, absolutely, yeah. I mean, she's way more inquisitive about this stuff. There's been a couple times where I've been working on something that is like a non-repeatable sort of task. It's like a specific like problem-solving thing that doesn't come up regularly and is also for a system we are getting rid of. And she'll be like, what are you doing? And it's like, I don't need to explain this to you.
Yeah, and
there's no point.
There's certain things that I just didn't care about for the last 6 months because I knew they were going away.
But there's a bunch of things for this new system where, yeah, I mean, that inquisitive nature is going to be a positive because it's going to be a bunch of like, how is it doing this? I don't know. Let's figure that out. Like, what is the better way to do this? Like, let's investigate that. So it's going to be a lot more useful than stuff where it's like, this stuff I'm going to tell you because it's going to come up and I might not be around, versus this is something that happens every 6 months and it's not going to happen again while you're working here. So
yeah, sure.
I'll just take care of it and we'll be done.
I suggested to you that we have a full staff training session. And you're like, no, we don't need to. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. If we don't do that, then I have to teach everybody else because you never work with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely against it so much as the problem
You think it's unnecessary and that there'll be so many things they won't have to do.
No, I mean, some of it's that. Like, I could definitely tailor something specific to, like, here's the stuff you'll be interacting with. I don't need to teach everybody who works at the store how to do FOCs. That's not relevant. The problem is just, I will be very new to it.
You don't have to teach me either because, as of now, I am relinquishing DC FOCs.
Okay. It's a thing where I don't want to do a training thing in the first week we've had the system where I don't know how it all works yet.
Sure.
Like, I'm sure I'll be okay on it. Like, Shopify POS is very intuitive. Managed Comics, I have high hopes for. But there's definitely going to be some growing pains in that first week. And I don't want to have a bunch of people in who I have to explain it. And also when they ask me questions, I go, I don't know yet. Like, I don't want to do that. So we could maybe do something where, after a month, but at that point, I don't know if it's worth doing because they'll have already used it for, at least one day.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think the Shopify POS thing is really going to be the sort of thing that needs a real, like, prolonged tutorial.
That'd be great.
Everyone we've shown it to, because you can show the POS just on a regular iPad, is like, oh, I get it. Like, it's super obvious where everything goes.
I don't get it.
And the only twist is going to be how some of the Managed Comics integration works. And that's stuff that, even for me who's watched a lot of the live streams and stuff, the thought streams, I get the principle, but I haven't seen it yet. Like, I haven't worked with it, but I get how it works. So there's going to be stuff where, we'll all be playing around with it in the off hours, which is a nice thing that we're able to do because you can use it on your phone. You can use it on an iPad.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in the store. It's all cloud-based. So I can set it up Monday and then tell you, hey, it's set up. And you can just get your iPad and play around with it at home on your day off. You don't have to wait.
I don't think you realize how old my iPad is and may not be able to handle that program.
Hopefully it works. Well, at the very least, you can look at the manager side stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, a lot more useful and a lot more what we're excited about. We did, I should mention, to anyone who hasn't checked their email, we did send out an email to all of our subscribers this past Tuesday? Monday, Tuesday?
It said,
Tuesday.
Get ready.
It was basically get ready. We were getting emails from subscribers that were saying, hey, I still can't add the DC stuff to Pullbox this month because Pullbox still does not have the DC stuff for this month. And this is on December 14th. The catalog closes on December 16th. So we were like, oh, God. So sent out an email to all our subscribers basically saying, like, look, here's where all of the non-DC stuff is for the catalog. You can add that to Pullbox. You can email us about it. Here's the DC PDF for the month that if you see anything on there, you can just email us and we will take care of it whenever the catalog goes up. Which for us ended up being like in the afternoon on Wednesday the 15th. But because of this, because we had to... We were not able to do anything with the catalog this month that we would normally have done.
No.
Basically, we would have normally sent out an email to everyone on like December 1st, more or less, that said, hey, the catalog is up. It's up on Pullbox. Add your stuff. If you're not on Pullbox, email us with what you want. And then we would spend a few weeks doing targeted emails saying like, oh, if you're getting X-Men, here's a book you might want. If you're getting Batman, here's a book you might want. We can't really do that until the catalogs are all completely ready to go. We can't even do step one, emailing people, until all of the catalog information is up on our side of the server, in the Diamond catalog that gets downloaded to Comic Suite. So we lost an entire month of promotion, basically. We were already going to be getting rid of Comic Suite at the end of the month, but this was an email where it was like, hey, it's going to be happening in 10 days. I wish we'd had more time to tell you that, but we were waiting until the catalog information went out, and now it's not going to. And so, A, we're sorry. B, this is how we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. And yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to know that, like, Managed Comics users had access to all of the lunar data for, like, 2 weeks.
Yep.
Almost as soon as, like, the catalog went up on the lunar side.
Good to know.
It's good for them, frustrating for us that it was like, oh, we're still not on that system. So we had one final month with Comic Suite and Pullbox that was as dumb as it's ever gotten. It's not true. It's gotten way dumber. But this was really frustrating for customers. The people who are the most engaged in adding stuff to their monthly list, having to tell them, you can't do that yet. You have to do it all in like 48 hours. But thankfully, it's the last time we'll have to do that. We do have a scheduled appointment with Brian from Managed Comics to switch over on the 27th.
He was almost out here for C2E2, and I was so excited for him to come to the store and...
You were real excited.
Hold my hand and talk me through it.
When I told you, I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, he's not going to be able to make it. You were like, it had slightly ruined C2E2 for you.
I almost didn't even want to go to the show.
You were like, what?
No reason to go.
You were real upset. And if Brian's listening to this, Brian, I'm being genuine here. I'm not kidding. This is not like a bit. Patrick was really, like, crestfallen. Like, I told him that Santa Claus had also declined to come to Chicago this year.
Also, Brian, we got your card this week. Thank you. Lovely
Thanks.
drawing, lovely handmade drawing of yourself.
Yeah, so we're in the real final stages of winding down Pullbox and Comic Suite.
Cue Europe soundtrack here.
I had
It's the final
a support ticket in with Diamond.
Oh, I ignored all those today, FYI.
There are two of them. One is about a problem we still have that they kept telling us was going to get fixed, and then told us a patch was going to fix it, and we had to go, patch didn't fix it. And they want a copy of our database, and part of me is like, don't bother.
Yeah.
It's more work for me, and like we're getting rid of your system in like less than 2 weeks. It's basically like 11 days. You're not going to fix it in 11 days. Days that include Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Here's two things that I think are hilarious in regards to basically this, but Diamond as well. As we've talked about numerous times in the past, we had a second store.
We did.
It closed its doors March of 2020 because it was shut down by the city because everything was shut down because of COVID. It officially closed in July of 2020. We kept the Diamond account open because we knew there were orders that we placed that were still trickling in. It is now... Oh, man, I can't decide.
Okay.
I guess yes.
Okay.
I was going to say no and just have
Worst that happens is you don't need it.
That's fine.
I don't care.
It's now December of 2021, and next week we're still getting a book for Blue.
We are.
You know how hard that's going to be to explain to the people at Giatis to be like, hey, it's not just this. There should be one tiny little envelope somewhere, one little box.
One tiny box that has a graphic novel.
So there's one graphic novel that's coming in that was ordered, what was it, September of 2019? No, it wasn't September. It was
No, it was like February.
February of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That somehow, I guess I don't want to say I stopped checking FOC data for that store, but it had been months since anything was showing up because, I mean, the last order we placed was February of 2020.
Yeah.
So the idea that stuff would still be showing up on an FOC, like, where? How?
Did we get the March order in? I think we got the March order in. Because the store was shut down, but we thought it was still
we did.
active.
No, you're right. That's
so
true.
it would have been March 2020.
So, God, maybe there's more stuff that's going to show
Yeah,
up.
but I mean, why was that not canceled?
Yeah, for real. Very weird.
But also, earlier this year, we got an email from our credit rep saying, hey, you owe this much money for the Comic Suite RMH system for that store, which we'd been paying off in weekly installments, but there were many weeks where we didn't have anything coming out, and they can't just charge you without you having books, I guess.
Right.
So it had to be tied to a physical order. So they said, hey, this is everything you owe to get rid of it. We're like, fine. Again, we can't stick you with this. It's not your fault. So we'll pay for that system even though we're not using it. Right. Technically we were. That was the one we were using. We stopped using the other one because we just used that computer that had everything. But anyway, it's the fees for the hardware and the software and the support.
Right.
Which we've been using the support a lot.
Yeah.
So that was back in July. In July, we paid it all off. Well, suddenly there's multiple new charges for that after we had not only paid it off, but you had talked to a higher up at Diamond and said, just stop it. We're done with this.
Right.
For that, like, we didn't want our license to renew and have to pay upfront for another year's worth of service because that store doesn't exist.
Correct.
So now suddenly we're getting weekly charges for that store. So I had to email and say, first of all, you emailed us and told us to pay it all off, and we did. What are these charges? Second of all, let's officially close this entire account. So I haven't checked if the drop-down menu is gone yet, or
I'll check tonight.
I'm sure it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, especially with people not in the office and a ransomware attack.
Yeah. On the plus side, they got back to us immediately and said, hey, ignore those charges, just don't pay them, and then we'll close this account.
Okay, cool.
Because I think that August, September, October, November, December, 17 months after we officially closed the store, 20 months after it actually closed, is long enough to keep it active, to clear out anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Like, we didn't want to be in the position...
Unless there's new Japan figures we're still waiting for.
Please. We didn't want to be in the position of sticking Diamond with anything. Like, if we ordered it and it wasn't an FOC item, like, okay, we'll absorb it.
Yeah. And when things came on FOC, we canceled them.
Yeah, but there was stuff that we didn't order that was not FOC'd, that was on initial order but was not able to be adjusted. And we just went, all right, we'll eat it. We'll have extra copies of those books or whatever. But yeah, I mean, again, over a year later, I feel like we should not need to absorb anything from that account.
An image graphic novel.
Uh-huh. Not great.
That was a fun little surprise.
Not great.
And a little reminder.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama, in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap, when out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sled and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver, so lively and quick I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and he shouted and he called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, Now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all, as dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly. When they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sled full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof as I drew in my hand and was turning around. Down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings. Then he turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Excelsior, true believers! Happy holidays from Stanley."
I keep forgetting to make an Instagram post that I wanted to do to show we got a couple of new signatures on the wall because people came to the store.
We did, yeah, it's true.
For C2E2.
Yeah.
Stephanie Phillips came in, and she's been in the store plenty of times before. Always visits the store when she's in town. But we'd never had her sign on the wall before.
True.
So she did, and then she signed everything we had of hers on the shelf. So it's a whole bunch of Wonder Woman Evolution #1s that are signed.
Right.
Every graphic novel of hers is signed. And also,
Torrin Grombeck.
Thank you, Torrin Grombeck, who I know who they are, I just don't know how to pronounce her name. Co-writer with Jason Aaron of Mighty Valkyries.
I would not guarantee that I said it correctly.
You said it so authoritatively and so confidently.
Yeah, she's the lead writer on the most recent Mighty Valkyries series, as well as the Warhammer 40k Sisters of Battle series.
Yeah.
A delightful person. Very fun to have in. Special thanks to Jasmine for bringing her in.
Came in a day I wasn't there.
It's true. Yeah, so that's the thing. So C2E2 is a Friday through Sunday show.
Yeah.
You'll sometimes get people who come in from out of town on Friday maybe or something. Like if they're doing the show on Saturday or something.
If they come in early on Thursday or something, they might swing by.
But then I'll sometimes get people on Monday because they're on their way out of town.
Yeah. Or they have an extra day or whatever.
Right. It's sort of the same thing for Riot Fest, where if people come in for Riot Fest, you'll see them on Friday or I'll see them on Monday because they're at the show Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Giorgio Reyes also came in and signed the Rise of the Phoenix graphic novel.
Giorgio Brooks.
Giorgio Reyes is someone who works in Chicago and for a radio station.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Who also gave us that baseball grill.
That's cool.
Sorry, Giorgio Brooks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he had signed the wall C2E2 a couple years ago.
Yes.
And we'd bought his book and had it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fun when people come to the store.
For sure.
And heartbreaking when they don't.
That's true.
Devastatingly heartbreaking.
Sometimes these things happen. No one's fault.
Yeah. We were supposed to have a Stephanie Hans signing this week, but she was unable to make it at the last minute.
Yeah, health issues,
So
unfortunately.
I was holding off on that post, waiting to add her wall contribution to the post.
That's sad.
And to say, hey, we have all these copies of Die signed as well.
That's true.
But yeah, and then after that, I just got too busy.
Good news
to
is
do
we
it.
have copies of Die. if you
of
need
course.
Die collections,
Of course we do.
we got those.
Yep. Yeah, with family emergencies and health issues and such, like, it makes me not want to do signings for a while. And we've got people who are starting to ask more.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to be like, no.
Yeah, I was reading a thing earlier today where Apple, that was going to be bringing its workers back to offices in February, is now delayed that yet again due to the Omicron variant. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the same position we're in with signings, where it's like we were kind of ramping them back up or planning more for them in 2022. And now it's like, let's step back from that. Let's not pursue that because it might not be safe. Like, it sucks to yet again, a year later, still be in that mode of like, oh, we still can't really make arrangements to get things back to normal because the terrain keeps shifting.
Yeah. And I was going to, like, this is something we should talk about off podcast, but it's time to talk about Free Comic Book Day.
It sure is. They announced all their gold and silver books.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, man, they did it earlier all the time now.
Did we talk about this? That one of the weirdest things is that Marvel has 2 books, one of which you can only get from Diamond.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's an Avengers X-Men book that you can get from both PRH and Diamond.
Yeah.
But a Marvel Voices book you can only get from Diamond.
Huh.
Very weird.
Very weird.
Also, I haven't seen any announcement of the DC ones, which is, I guess, typical because DC distributes their own, so they're not beholden to anyone's rules about what Free Comic Book Day is. I don't think they're an official sponsor.
Why would they be? What do they care? Who do they even know? We talked to so many people over the C2E2 weekend who all just, like, shrug their shoulders and be like, DC, whatever. And I don't mean retailers, I mean creators.
Professionals.
Yeah.
People who are working and have worked at DC are just like, I don't know.
I think my time with that company is done.
Nobody seems to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Everything's very fluid. And it's like, yep, that sounds like DC Comics for the last, I don't know, 2 years. There was a thing that came out from a Grant Morrison interview where they had said that the reason they did Superman versus the Authority, or Superman and the Authority, was because Dan DiDio had approached them about doing a what was then 5G, the new iteration of DC's continuity. That was a story where Superman became kind of like a right-wing fascist and formed a new team of the Authority characters.
Okay.
And Grant Morrison's like, that's terrible. Don't ever do that with Superman. And so they ended up writing it basically because they were like, if I don't do this, DiDio's going to give this to someone who will do that story. So I need to write this to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, we had heard that basically everything DC is doing now is stuff that was all planned before all the ownership changed and everybody got fired. So they've just been coasting.
I assume a bunch of it would have been done in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely sounded like the next Batman stuff would have been sort of in place of a Bruce Wayne Batman book.
Yeah.
Not, a second Batman that's also running around the DC universe. In New York now. I've heard that a lot of the Los Angeles-based shipping issues, all the boats sitting on the harbor. I'm familiar with boats.
Backed up 200 miles, so they're constantly running engines, don't smog up the city. That the optimistic expectations are that the backups are all cleared out by end of February.
Okay.
And the pessimistic estimations are early summer.
So, let's say April, probably realistically.
Yeah, but I mean, that is a light at the end of the tunnel that didn't exist before. That is like, no, this is actually like clearing up.
Yeah.
Things are happening.
Again, not to bring it all the way back, but being able to get in shipments of things that we back ordered 7-8 months ago and having them actually show up in time for Christmas was a thing of like, oh my God, this is a way better outcome than I was expecting. To see stuff from PRH Weekly where it's like, hey, Civil War's back in print.
Yeah.
Planet Hulk's back in print. World War Hulk is back in print. Like, oh my God, like that's stuff that I don't know if it was Diamond or Marvel or whatever, but those books are just completely unavailable. We had a guy in this past week who's like, I want to start reading Daredevil. And we're like, well, there's this new miniseries Devil's Reign, but he's like, no, I want to read like, you know, a run of it. And it's like, okay, well, so I take him over to the graphic novel section. It's like, okay, cool. I would recommend probably the Chip Zdarsky run because that's fairly recent. It's really good. Don't have the first 3 volumes. Like, no idea when they're going to be available again. Okay, great. Daredevil Ultimate Collection by Bendis and Malieve. Don't have any of them. Daredevil Ultimate Collection by Brubaker and Lark. Don't have any of them. Daredevil early volumes by Mark Waid. Don't have them. Daredevil Born Again. Don't have it. Daredevil Man Without Fear. Don't have it. And it's like, everything I would recommend you is out of print for like a major character. And that's insane. To the point where basically I tell the guy, I would not tell you to buy any of this based on what we have right now. I would not have you start with like volume 4 of Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. Like, don't do that to yourself. It's not going to make a ton of sense. And that's just like, you know, one snapshot. That's one interaction of like how hard it is to recommend a lot of things with supply chain issues, but just in general, Marvel in particular, how they do things, how basic things that you would expect to see. Like when Viz doesn't have volume 1 of My Hero Academia or Chainsaw Man or Death Note Black, they are very clear with like, this is not how we want to do things. We know you can sell it. We know we can sell it. We're going to fix this. It's going to take a while, but we're working on it. When Marvel's out of like basic, like library books, it's just like, I don't know if they even care to reprint it. There's no timeline. Like, I don't know whose job it is to make sure this stuff becomes available again for people coming into bookstores or going to Amazon and wanting to buy it. Marvel, so frustrating, which, again, it's nice to see that, I don't know if PRH is putting more pressure on them, or at least making it more clear to someone in their backlist department, like, these things need to be available. Like, you can't not have Civil War in print. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You did a movie called Civil War. Like, if there's 2 books that you have forever, it should be Infinity Gauntlet and Civil War because they were billion-dollar films. No one should need to tell someone at Marvel that. That should have been readily apparent. But again, that stuff is coming back into print. It's going to be available again. It might be a few weeks, but we'll have it on the shelves. It's nice to look on the shelves and see 5 copies of Vision Complete Collection by Tom King. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't ever want someone to come in, ask about a book like that, and have me go, I don't know when we'll have it again.
One day.
Yeah. I want to be able to send someone away with that book knowing that it's one of my all-time favorite comics and they're going to get to read it now.
And their life would be better for it.
Yep.
When I was at the storage facility, as I was pushing my very full cart into the elevator,
Yeah.
there was a gentleman in like a mechanic jumpsuit
Mm-hmm.
who had in his hand a stack of comics. Like there was a Hellblazer graphic novel.
Whoa.
And the top thing was an alternate cover to Devil's Reign #1.
Whoa.
And he's getting in the elevator. And so we're in the elevator. I'm like, hey, man, that Devil's Reign is good stuff. He's like, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Zdarsky can't do wrong on that book, but I couldn't get Zdarsky out.
Uh-huh.
I was like, Chip can't do wrong on that book.
My good friend Chip.
And
My chum Chip.
And then we went different directions.
Okay.
Yep. But you find comic fans everywhere.
It's true.
There was a dad in with a young daughter. I'm bad at guessing ages, but I would say like 9.
Mm-hmm.
And she was buying 2 copies of My Hero Academia Volume 3.
Okay.
And we had just gotten 2 copies of Volume 26 back in today.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the same color.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, man, if they're buying the 2 we just got. But I even did are you sure you wanted 2?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And also a copy of Death Note. I'm like, okay, who's the Death Note for? It's for her. I'm gonna need you to look at this. It's it even has a warning on the back, like it's for older teens.
Was it the all-in-one edition? Was
But,
it like a
no,
suitcase?
Death Note Black.
Oh, okay.
An issue.
Okay.
A volume,
Oh, volume.
I mean.
Okay.
And the dad goes, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, I did my bit.
Yep.
I'm like, really? It shouldn't be.
I've never,
Maybe that person was like 18 and just looked young. I don't know.
I've never raised a kid. I
Sure.
don't know.
Sure. I mean, we frequently have these kind of like, I don't know, but whatever. Dal, it was a Christmas miracle.
How's that?
It's over an hour and 3 minutes.
Ugh.
It's supposed to be 52. You just kept blabbing away.
You should cut out 11 minutes of content. Me talking.
There's content in this?
Cut out 11 minutes of me talking.
Is there content?
People haven't earned it. They haven't. They don't deserve it.
Well, so this means there's only one more episode for this year.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll have to tell people next year, like, all of the major changes which are coming to this podcast for 2022.
Oh, gosh. I hope I'm getting replaced.
Unless we should leave it all as a secret.
Yeah, I don't know it, so I can't help with that.
Also, I realized we didn't check in with anybody this week. Aw. Maybe I'll stock a couple of those up.
There you go.
I don't know. No, the super secret changes are the fact that nothing is changing.
Oh.
That it's the exact same.
Okay.
Now I ruined it. I was going to say it next week.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, goodness. Merry Christmas.
And keep reading comics.
No, I meant you say Merry Christmas.
I already did say Merry Christmas.
Yeah, but you didn't say it sincerely. It was like your normal, like, it's like the way you say, I love you, or how's your mother?
Sure. Merry Christmas.
And keep reading... Oh, wait, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
The snow is in the winter sky. There's a sparkle in the air.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.